leg, single here, high crotch here most of the time, double. That keeps me penetrating with the same leg almost every time. Right here is my penetration step. So my single leg penetration, stand here. Single leg penetration, I'm going to penetrate here. Double leg in the center. And then high crotch, it's outside or inside step. Here. And this is the only one that goofs us all up. Outside step. There. I prefer to break our single legs down. And this is exactly what I use as my practice notes when we go over it with the team. What I call high level singles, low level single legs, and then there's the ankle single or John Smith single. I don't do, have never done, don't teach, don't really advocate the John Smith single. If you're real flexible in the shoulders, got exceptionally quick, exceptionally skilled kid, it works. If you learn the ins and outs of it, it's a great move. John Smith proved that. The average guy, they shoot with their head down, reaching out like that, they're going to get crushed. The average guy. If you have a superior person that you want to teach that to, probably need to see John Smith, because he's about the only guy I've seen that really does it well enough to be called successful. The high level we'll go through first, where we don't go down to our knees. You still penetrate. Where a lot of people get caught up and make their mistakes, from what I believe, is they think if I don't go down to my knees, I don't need to penetrate. I can just reach. When I reach, I come out of that basic stance I talked about. That gives Bill a chance to bury my head, butt drag, spin behind, front headlock. I still need my basic stance like we talked about this afternoon, right here. When I penetrate high level, come in here, motion, get a moving to get the leg forward that you want, penetrate, I want to drive in. Now, we talked this afternoon, the old teapot principle. I want to drive into it. Bill asked, you can go, huh, Bill? I want to drive in. Puts all the weight on the far leg, lift this one right up. Here. Same thing this afternoon, did the single leg. Here. First setup. Inside tie-up. Now, you watched us wrestle last night. Here's what we did a lot. That was bad. Practice and tried not to do that, but still did. When we tie up the man, what I want to do is I want to be inside, I want to move. As soon as I touch, I want to move. I moved him, rotate my elbow inside, penetrate approximately shoe to shoe, lower my level, and drive. We're wrestling here, messing around. Motion. Pull him one way, get him a step, rotate your hand in. Now, pass him here. Tie up, pull, step, rotate your arm in, drive. Okay. I'm going to teach kind of backwards, kind of wrong. I'm going to go through all my setups and then hit all my finishes. You kind of prefer doing a whole move for the reasons I talked about this afternoon. Shooting, stopping, and then trying to finish. But I think it's easier to teach it this way. Another setup I use, which I've become pretty successful at, so the wrestlers on the team, we're coming out here, the guy who grabs the wrist, okay, most guys know about dragging and so forth. It's real easy to set him up by just turning your elbow out. It'll break his grip. Turning the elbow out. So we're wrestling here, good stance. You let him have it. Stick Right there, elbow out. Lower your level. Penetrate. Any questions on that? Now, another one, if you post on my shoulder. We call this a chop drag. Don't confuse it with an arm drag. This works extremely well. Most of these will work both high and low level singles. Above the knee, below the knee, and going your knee or not going your knee. He posts, take your arm, karate chop it down. That's the chop. Then I want to drag tricep into my chest. Now, how many people here teach arm drag? That's not the way to do an arm drag. This is not an arm drag. The chop drag, which is a specific setup. And if I was going to arm drag him, he grabbed my wrist, I rotate, I guide, I catch, I step. Depending on what type of step you like. Okay? That's an arm drag. Arm drags you pull down and across the man's body. This is the chop drag set up for the leg. A lot of people go, no, that's not a good arm drag. Well, it's not. All I'm doing is setting up that leg. I chop, I pull this as I step down to my chest and shoulder. His weight's now on his leg. That gives me a chance to post it long enough to grab. Now what do? I drive in, which does what? Makes it lighter. It takes the weight off of the leg. This one here, it's not used that much from what I see, and boy does it work. I love this. You get in here, guy posts, he'll pop in the head a couple times, get him to pop you, boom. Another one that Okie State's been using quite a bit. Jose is using. Ex-coach there, I guess. Grab the hand. Now most guys are taught to grab here. Grab the hand here, drive it down across the step and tap the leg. Grab here, you watch those guys at Nationals are grabbing this way. That's the way the grabber position. Grabbing right here, drop it down across step. Here, boom. Not this way. This way. Down across the step. Any questions on that? Now, I don't know why it works. I can't figure out why it works. We've incorporated that in this year. World Team Training Camp. A lot of guys have been doing it. I've seen John Smith do it successfully. I can't figure out most things you can figure. Chop, drag, boom. You get the weight here, drive into them. But when you grab the arm this way, it's very easy, and you have a lot of leverage. You pull the man's weight forward onto this leg. You leave this side open. You tap. What ones did I miss? Yeah, we went over the underhook, underhip run down, wrist controls. Another setup. Popping ahead. Now, good technique would tell you, or good position would tell you not to reach a whole lot with your lead leg hand. Sometimes I think you need to do that to get reactions out of the guy. I very seldomly, I'm going to hang out in here too much. If I reach with this hand, I want to move. If I'm in position, I come inside. My elbow's in tight, I move. What I want to do is get this guy to reach with his lead leg. Maybe to do that, I'll pop his head. He reaches up as he's reaching. Where a lot of high school guys go wrong is from here, they post the elbow, they push it up. As soon as I push the man's arm up, he'll step that leg back and bring this hand down. Whenever I force the man's elbow. So what I want to do is pop his head. As he reaches, I hold it there. I go down. once I get his position here, he can't stop me. I drive. All you're doing is elbow posting, not pushing to the ceiling. The guy, and you guys will see this more at the high school level than I will in college, the guy who just reaches on his own is not that technically sound yet. You come out here, he reaches. Okay, he reaches. You have the option of chop drag, or you can elbow post. You catch him on the reach, catch him on the way in. Boom. What you're doing, you're lowering your level, keeping the arm up, drive. Now, it's a lot different than like I was taught years ago, the snatch. I'm not any good at it. Some people still do it, but 99% of good wrestlers are driving on singles and doubles and so forth, not trying to snatch it back. I find whenever I try to snatch a guy with decent hips, boom, they're hipping down, pressuring their head. Lots to drive. And you can elbow post it. Right there it says pop the head and elbow post. That'll set up a bad guy. Whenever you beat a guy's head, he wants to start defending himself. In here, move it around, pop. Maybe he doesn't do it first time. Pop, boom. Another. Set up. He's on you in here. Go down 2-on-1. Now there's a lot of things you can do off of 2-on-1. We're not going to show them all, but we'll just go into the single legs for now. I do my single leg very similar to the very similar to my underhook. Come in here, I take the 2-on-1, usually I take the tie-up position, boom, secure it tight. Get weight on that, step behind, I want to drive his arm, his leg, and come up and drive. Now there's a lot of things. If he steps back, boom, throw him down. You know, if he posts his head, we can lower, penetrate. They're all great tension 2-on-1, but you know, we might, if we have a little time, we can go over them if you want. 2-on-1 to a single here, and drop this way. Okay. Covered just about everything on my setups list. Any questions on the setups? The guy,
More stepping behind his foot on purpose, right here.
on the 2-on-1, yes. 2-on-1, yes, right here. Keeps you from pulling it out. And you toe up a little bit here. Blocks it from, because you're not really getting the motion as some of the others, you know, some of the other setups. You know, there's a billion setups. You know, in high school, I know what I used to do. I used to grab his wrist, just pull it down. I was just a big old fat, I won't say fat, yeah, maybe fat. Not old, young. Big, young, didn't know anything heavyweight, probably stronger than the average bear. I'd grab on this arm, and I'd pull it down. That guy wouldn't like it. And that's what I'd do. And it worked like a charm, even into college. But since then, I've gotten a little more sophisticated. You know, there's 1,000 setups is what I was trying to say. You watch the Soviets, and even what we're trying to drill, we've been drilling it now for 2 months and still haven't gotten it. Actually, not 2 months, but a month and a half and still haven't gotten it. A setup is only designed to get by the man's head, hands, and arms. That's all you're trying to do. Now, years ago, when somebody said, setup is designed to get by the man's hands. If you watch the Soviets, the better wrestlers out at the national tournament, better wrestlers at the States. Hopefully, if you watch Edinboro next time we wrestle, guy shoots in on us, blocking with the head, dropping the arm down, coming in. Nick Padaki, our 150-pounder, had about 4 what looked like starts of great shots. That Soviet guy shot in, Soviet just dropped his head right there, dropped his arm inside. We were sucked. And then what's worse, Soviet dropped his head. Okay, what did Nick do? Nick stood up. Got taken down. This is the drill we've been doing in practice. I know this is a little off beat and single leg, but this is the drill we've been trying to do in practice. Guy shoots. Boom, we block. He comes up. Hit. And we've been working at pretty hard. Unfortunately, what's a United States wrestler want to do when they shoot in? Guy shoots in. We're trying to get in here, which isn't bad either, but why let them pass your arms? You know, head and arms. So all we're trying to do with the setup is to get by those. There's tons of them. You know, arm drag to a single, just popping, moving them, popping his head and shooting. Just to get by his head and his arms. Any questions on setup? Okay. My finishes from that position, when I have his leg up, are pretty basic, pretty elementary. We get in here and we drill them just over and over.
I guess based on that, does each one of your wrestlers drill the same setups, or each one has 3 setups of drill?
Okay, we come in at the beginning of the year, and this is our actual, this is exactly what we teach in about 3 days, 4 days. Guys say, this is good high school. But I firmly believe that you need to know at any level, a single, a high cross for sure, probably a double leg. I mean, that's just, you need to know. You need to know a stand-up inside and out. You need to know back over leg stand-ups. You need to know limp arm stand-ups, inside leg stand-ups. Just their moves to be successful in college or high school wrestling, they're musts. And you also need to know what we call short offense, which I don't think we had in this year's clinic, but we had in past. That's where your front headlocks, pancakes, sucker drags from the bottom, and butt drags. They're just musts. So what we do is we teach all these in the beginning and make them drill. Okay, guys, we're going to go over the chop drag, inside tie-up, and elbow post setup. Then any drill that for probably, 5 minutes maybe? Then we come in, go 3 more. Come in, go 3. It takes forever, and the seniors know it better than I do. I mean, they can do it. I could have probably Louis Roselli, Brett Porter, Brian Gear, probably Jason Lukitis as a junior, come out and teach about what we're teaching right now. And they do a real good job on it because they learned it pretty much the same way every year. Now, Louis does a chop drag, pretty much the underhooks, and a little bit of fake and go. That's what Louis does. Jason Lukitis does more of the inside tie-up, a lot of popping the head and elbow post. Each guy has 2 or 3 setups to a single leg that they do. But not the whole, whole team is not go out there and chop that.
But they all drill anyway.
But they all drill at the beginning anyway. Now when we say, okay, go drill on your own, you'll see some guys drill and chop drag. And there's specific days I'll go, okay, I want you to drill nothing but single legs and these 4 setups. But that's not very often. Most of the time it's drill on your own and then go ahead and let the wrestle live action. My finish, any other questions on setups? My finishes here are pretty basic in my mind. I don't get real crazy when I do them. I think seat drop is a must. A lot of different ways to do a seat drop. I'm not saying mine's the best. There's, people like to grab back here, whatever works for your guys, whatever you can teach them, whatever. But this is what I found works the best. You want to get about 3 different motions. You want down, you want around, and you want back. Okay, so I want to bring this guy in 3 motions. How do I do that? I'm locked up here. Down is with my bicep area, upper arm, anatomy majors around here. What bones are these?
Humerus.
Humerus. I'm terrible at that. I don't even pretend tend to do it, so I'll screw it up. The humerus. Take the humerus, you lock the pressure down. Now, see where my head is? My shoulder's approximately over my knee's approximately over my toe. I'm still in reasonably good stance. Talking about stance this morning. Here's what Bill does, and most high school guys and half of my team does this. It works, but it's not as good because the guy squares his hips, both his head, and you're in deep trouble. Here. That's my down motion. My circle is with this foot. Circle, and then back. Figure you get those three motions. Pressure down, circle, and back. He's going to go down. And we can talk about, get a big circle. I'm in the middle. He's on the outside. I move a little bit. He has to run 3 steps. That's the principle. I only need to do this. And he's out here. He has to hop 3 or 4 big steps to keep up with me. He can't do it while I'm pushing down and moving back. Again. Here, shoulder pressure down. Pressure. No matter how low I get, I can still be in good stance. Now you get over exaggerated here. You lose your stance right here. Back in a circle. Right to the pin. Any questions on that? Want to see it again?
You drop your right shoulder in at all, or is it just straight down?
Pretty much down.
Straight down.
Pretty much. No, I don't try to turn it in much so often.
You get more pressure this way over this.
I knew people were going to ask that. This is kind of wrong. This is real wrong. I do both kind of wrong and real wrong. I do right every once in a while, but not often, unfortunately. I do right real well on this hand, this side. Yeah, I'm a heavyweight. We've been accused of being dumb. Maybe there's some truth to that. I don't know. I don't know why it's comfortable. One thing I've never been accused of is not having a good grip. I grab onto something, I generally keep it. And if I was talking lifting right now, I'd say, you guys need to get rubber balls in your guys' hands, do wrist curls both ways. Never let guys use straps on lifting. They can't hold the weight with their fingers and hands. They shouldn't be lifting. You always grip the bar around, not like this, because you're only as strong as your weakest link. My weak link has never been the old hand. Here, we'll do it correct once, just to show that it works. And this is correct, I hope. Here, pressure down. Go right in. What can we do from here? Those back points right off the bat. Any questions?
Chris, what you're creating really there is you're locking the knee against itself, right? And you're using the knee joint.
No, the knee's not in pressure at all.
You're pressing down with your shoulder on
On
the
the
top
hip.
of his thigh, right?
The hip is what's locked.
And you're down pressure on the thigh, right?
Right. With my.
You're keeping that joint from moving,
No, he can move his leg.
but he can't move anything from the knee back to his hip.
This hip right here is locked out. Pressure down.
And you're using that. You can do anything you want with him from that point
Pretty much.
because he can't move anything from hip to knee.
I've got the pressure down his hips here.
You have downward pressure with your shoulder and upward pressure with your arms, which is locked.
Not really. It's pretty much all down, isn't it, Bill? It's pretty much all down. All I'm.
How do you spin him? What are you spinning him with?
His leg.
So that's an upward pull.
Right there. All right, that one works great. Good question. Next one. Here, this is why I grip wrong, by the way. I feel more comfortable doing this move. Here. The guy's a hopper. I hate hoppers. Brian Deere is a hopper. R158 hunter. Somebody gets his leg up here, you can't take him down. did the other night, that was after a while. Hops. Hate hoppers. Hardest guys to take down. Anybody know what I mean by hopper? The seat drop and the seat drop, you get all the right pressure, you think you're doing a great job, he's going hopping around. A hopper, here's what I want to do. Seat drop, seat drop, seat drop. Then, this is why I grip wrong, by the way, because it's more comfortable for me. Change off, grab below the knee. You like this, you like your belt. Rotate this to the outside. Come across the knee and drive. That was overly slowed down. Now this name is named after an Iranian. I was beat by an Iranian this year. I hate Iranians, but for the worst. I can't think of anything else better to call it but a Baumgartner, which this guy who invented it. I don't know, does nobody else have a better name? Every other thing you think of, cross kneecap, it all relates to two moves. You know, a different move. So this we call Baumgartner. Here, seat drop, seat drop, seat drop. Whoop! Boom. That's why Bill likes that one so much.
I got a kid in special ed, he calls that a box scar.
A box scar? Well, isn't everybody share our special ed? Couldn't resist that one. All right, going through this move slow. Most hopping. You can only do this if the leg's reasonably close. So you pull, he hops it back in. Now, step your leg back to a drive position. Rotate out. Come across. Boom. Now, you're not lifting this leg, although it looks, you're swinging the leg, picking the knee. If you have momentum, it looks like you're lifting them up. Really, you're kind of driving them over the leg. Here. Boom. Boom. What can you do right from here? Pin them. I think I had too much coffee tonight. Something wrong. Any questions on that? Now, we can set it up a different way. Barry Davis, I'm dating myself. A couple years ago, I go, Barry Davis, and oh, Barry, actually, he's going to compete again from Iowa. Barry didn't ever like the seat drop, I guess, so he turned in like this. But what do you do when a guy turns in like this? What's he going to do? He's going to pull his leg back. Let him pull it back. Come across. These things are hard to do slow, so here. Pin. Any questions on that? Now you can use one to set up the other. Use one to set up the other. Seat drop, sets up this. If he feels like you're trying to take the leg out, he's probably going to hop your leg back a little bit, hop it outside. As soon as he hops it wide, sets up the dump. Seat drop. Any questions on that?
Get in there, the guy throws a tight wizard, is that, sometimes my kids have trouble going to Baumgartner when the guy's got a...
Only if they can turn the hip on you. If Bill's here and he has a tight whizzer, okay, well, he's turned his hip. Now, it's going to be difficult. Just let me have a... If I'm in position and he just has a pretty good whizzer right here, I can still do it. See everybody see what I'm going to turn the hip? Okay, here is not... He turned his hip. See him doing it, Bill? Extending him? He's not. It also doesn't work if he's got your wrist. If I'm here, he goes to lock, or goes to unlock it, goes for the deposit bar here. Right here. Grab your wrist. Okay, I come over. Generally, he'll push this leg down. Boom. This move works when a guy's moving. Works best when a guy's moving. Swinging the leg out to the outside, coming across block. I don't know if you guys remember Terry Kennedy or not on our team. He invented the reverse Baumgartner. Never, ever seen anybody else do it. Worked great for him. That's about what I do to try to take the man down. break that grip, he's going to get his hands free. That's kind of the way I feel. Again, if I do this, he has horsepower in his arms, boom. He should be able to, when I break the grip, hip down, pressure into me, get out the technique. What I want to do is I want to lower my level, put his leg on top of my leg. So that no matter how hard he pressures down, I've got him on my thigh. I didn't start doing this until I came here. Coach Deanna showed me this, and it's worked great. I love it. It's one of the best things I ever learned from Edinboro. Here, lower your level. Cup your hand up. Now, Bill can try to pull this arm out all he wants. This leg out all he wants. It's on my knee. On my knee, right here. Go to straighten that leg out. Pull it up. Eyes come down here, pump it on. And up. Head up. Lower here. Not this way. Position. Approximately shoulder, knee, foot. Here. Go to here. Now, one key I didn't talk about yet. You guys see it more than I do, but Kenny Bauer on our team does this all the time. It's a cutback. Can't cut back anymore with the foot, correct? In all states, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, I think it's still standard, even though New York has their own weight classes, correct? They just flipped the coin one day, state meeting. All right, from here, what I don't want to do is line all feet up parallel. Now, Bill can't do it, and I can't do it, so you're not going to see it. I've never done a cutback in my life, I don't think. Neither has Bill, so trust me, I know. This is way to cut back. Everybody know what they mean by cutback. If your feet are all lined up straight, you're prime target for getting pinned or turned or taken down. So when you do this move, here, down, slide your hand down, on a shin, grab the ankle, motion on the way up. Now, I've got you here. Doesn't look it, maybe. And I'm not going to walk around the mat like this because I'm going to use my other hand. What I want to do is grab the heel, forearm across the foot. If he turns this way, he's going to blow his knee. The only other way to get out is the other way. And this foot here stops. Oklahoma State had a guy, Randy Willingham, when I was coaching down there. When a guy did this to him, threw that foot around the head, came out of it. I don't think any of us have an athlete. He did, it was funny, because he did one time in practice, hit the guy in the head, and just not knock him out, but he just fell right flat. Boom. What do I do from here? I want this leg tight. Keep motion. I got that knee locked out. From here, pressure down, big belly ribs, but I'm still with my knees. Pressure down, step. Now, in college, high school, even international, you can't bend against the joint. I'm not doing this one here. All I'm doing is pressuring down. Just keep it from hot. Back. Everybody see that pressure? Right here. Any questions on that? That's the back heel trick, or back trick. Another one, put the arm on the shoulder and treetop. You up to this one? We're in here, we're in position, can't trip, run into him. Put up in the shoulder. Reason why we like it on the shoulder, if you put it on the shoulder, it brings him closer to you. See what I mean? Brings him closer to you. When this comes up, the arc here, up here, decreases the angle, all that BS for the geometry teachers that I don't know about. Brings that leg in. Now, obviously, I can just trip him down. you watch Louis or Brett wrestle today, well, Brett didn't wrestle. Brett sticks the guy's arm on his, or leg on his shoulder, or Louis does, and his leg's about that high off the ground. It works. But believe it or not, both of those guys, Tommy Shiflett from New York is pretty tall, they use it real effective. They're in here, they can't. Right up here. Lock that baby in. Any questions on that? That's very similar to what we used to call treetop, driving in and rotating up. I much prefer shoulder. I was a big tree topper myself. Shoulder's a lot better. Any questions on that? One more that I'm getting less and less success with, and I don't know why, but if I'm in here, maybe I'm up in this position, one thing I may do is take a piece of hopper, hop it around, boom, trip forward. Boom. Our 190 pound does this a lot, our 177 pound does this a lot. Again, use a hopper. I might have a leg a little bit out of position here. So I don't like this position. I like it down here. It's hard to do when it's down here. I'm up in here. Circles around. Boom. Right there at the knee. Driving forward. Get your takedown. Any questions on that one? One other thing I do from the high level here. Got him up here. Take the knee. I'm not pushing down the knee. I'm just running around the circle. It's kind of fun. You can be on guy for an hour straight. Again, we're out here, over top, circle. Refs will stop it. So basically, you're doing the same motion as the first seat drop. Down, circle, back. 3 motions he can't handle. You can't do this number here. Okay. That's no good. Okay, that's my high level. Wow, there. So low level takes so much shorter time. Ideally, when I hit a low level single, I want to drive to my feet right away and use one of the finishes we just showed. Ideally. Of course, if you watch me wrestle, I don't do the ideally very much. I'm usually down there fighting, use a little mat here and there. Ideally, that's what you want. Now, if you look at the setup, elbow post, top the head, elbow post, 2-on-1, wrist control are all about the same. I'll go over each one of them real quick. Pop the head, boom, elbow post, penetrate in. Now, on this, penetrate, foot to foot, drive, boom. Keep coming right up. Don't stop. Actually, you want to get a hair bit of an angle when you get in there, get a corner on a man. Here, boom, boom. I want to come in straight, get a little bit of an angle. Now drive up across. Should be that quick. Just a regular elbow post. Here, elbow post, step, boom, corner, up. Why do we get to corners? Everybody know? Angle. If we don't, sorry, roll back. Over top. Can you do that? Just roll me over. As I say, go. Okay. Just roll me back. Okay? If we come in here and just go straight into them and try to drive straight in, it takes your own momentum and uses it against you. Okay, that one for, here, just shoot out these straight in. If you shoot straight in, I reach back here, over, recover. Kenny Bauer does that a lot. You get the angle, it's very hard for them to do that. angle, so you're driving across man, and up. Couple of different setups. Fake and go. We're out here. All we do is we fake till he gets a reaction. He reacts, boom. Right up, get the angle. Release, you can only touch a second. You need that reaction. Shoot right under his arm. Boom. Another one for the guys that like inside positions. Wrestling in here. He drapes over. Right there. Everybody see where he's draped? Everybody see he's draped? Boom. Shoot right from there. Come up. Move it around. Grab. Pull it down. Take your arm out. Boom. Angle. Up. Any questions on those two? Kind of picking up the pace a little bit here. Sorry about that. We want to try to get everything in. Okay, tap and go. Push, pull. One of these ones. Just kind of get the guy reaching for your arm. He reaches for your arm, pull it back, shoot. He reaches, he gets his arm up. If you notice, we're trying to blend in some setups where you got a hold of the guy. 2-on-1s, underhooks, inside control. And some others, you hit from outside. Here's this one again. Here, he reaches up, pull that hand down. Boom. Angle up. Any questions on that? Okay, going into the finish. Low level single. Drive your feet. First one on the list, most important. I never want to stay down on the mat, have him carrying that guy's weight, have him beat my head. Okay? I'm dumb, but not that dumb. If he's a good wrestler, I make a mistake, I shoot in, and he's got me in, sprawls out, boom. Here. Now, what I want to do from this position, he's got his hip pretty square. I have my arms still pretty deep. I'm in bad position, but I'm still going to fight it out here. What I want to do is take my right shoulder, we call this a T-spin, take my right shoulder, put it right where you give a kid a Charlie horse. Turn my butt, my outside cheek, my right cheek this time, right like this. I'm driving as hard as I can right now into his, whatever bone that is, right where a Charlie horse is. I'm getting an angle, getting an angle, getting an angle. My hand doesn't move. Come around. Now guys, the butt part, extremely important. You don't do the butt part, he's going to throw you down. If I come up here like this, my hand shouldn't move. What's he going to do to me? Boom. Now I'm in trouble. Gotta get that butt of yours, turn the ankle. Shoulder, right into the Charlie horse area. Your hand shouldn't move the mat. You can drop your elbow eventually behind his shin area, lower leg, calf area. That'll help too. I'm in here in a single leg. He sprawls out. I'm kind of sunk. Just get enough so I can get my hand down. See my butt? Hands down the mat, shoulders in his Charlie horse. Pressure. Push. Drive into that leg. Drive. Drive. My elbow is behind his calf right now. Drive. 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 He holds on long enough to come up for the half. Sometimes you break him flat. Sometimes you don't. Don't break flat this time. Here. Boom. In this position. Boom. Fight it out that way. Again, it looks real pretty. It's one of those moves, looks reasonably easy. It's a dog fight. Man, this is not an easy move. But it's better to go down there like this and try to pull that leg straight in. Another situation. This time, he sprawls, his hips are kind of high on me, gets his legs back. Here, right like this. drop my head in between, and this is, we call this post and lift. I'm going to slide my knee under and lift. Now guys, if I was you, I learned this myself, a buddy, a friend, and start teaching the heck out of it. The high school and colleges, as far as I know, have outlawed the figure four in that position. If you can't figure four, you can't stop it. I mean, there's ways to stop it, but generally, guys slap a figure four on there, your head gets closed, the referee stalemate, start back up. Hey, you can't do that anymore. Hey, figure four, it's a point, you let you wrestle, you get the takedown, score a point, the penalty, 2 takedowns. I'd start working the heck out of this move. Right here, guy sprawled out on you. Now you notice, his knee's not down, I'm not overly extended. I'm not in good position here. Can't drive to my feet. He's got his hips square. Post, that's important. Slide. Now you lift, straighten out, boom. Now last year, figure four, I couldn't do a thing. This year, no figure four. So, one thing I do, up, he grabs around my waist to show a few things in here. So what? Grabs around my waist. Hit him. Yes, sir.
I heard another college guy say that too. Is that outlawed in Pennsylvania?
I believe so. That's
Doc, Coach, I understand what you're saying. The other college coach is
Still
wrong
figure
too.
four. The only thing is, it's become an emphasis point this year for the officials that you have to have the ankle in the crook of the knee.
Yeah.
okay.
Still
See,
figure four.
the high school federation has put out their version of the rules. Supposedly that most of the college, pardon me?
I'm a state referee for Ohio, and there is no statement like that. And our state rules interpretation, just like what he said, they just said make sure it's...
You're Ohio. Anybody from Pennsylvania? That's illegal. Okay, so some states go by the federation rules. I know New York doesn't, because again, they flip the coin on the weight classes. The federation out in Kansas, high school federation, prints out the suggested rules for the country. That's what I read, and that's illegal. If you're in one of the states that's illegal, man, I'd be teaching that. And probably in Ohio and New York or whatever other states, probably in other states, next year down the line it will be. Most of the things come to me.
It probably will, because we keep it up in the federation. It probably will be.
See, in college anymore, you can't figure four the head.
How about on a pin? I mean, like, you're on the mat.
Only if you can figure four the head if you're in control.
Right.
So it's really goofy. You can actually figure four the head if you're in that position if one guy is already in control. They're already riding time, the clock is already going. But you can't do it off the takedown. Anyway, let's go over this. I would start working this because I would foresee in the next year or so that they're all going to go to the federation rules. That's just, my guess. Bruce's crystal ball prediction, whatever you want to call it. I was under the impression most states, except for New York, followed the federation rules. Again, we're here. 2 things. Post, slide. 2 things I want to generally do the most is lift, 1 up, 1 down, rotate, attack. That's one move I want to do. Or post, lift, slide my hips under, step through, right to this position. Score. Any questions on those 2?
How about when he grabs your ankles? Show that again.
He grabs my ankle. Here. Grab one or both. Grabs an ankle. Right here. Sit on that ankle. Drop him off to that side. Now it's a fight. He still has your ankle. I go to the feet. I win 90% of the time. A lot of times if you throw him hard enough. Ankle. Throw him hard enough. Right there. Any other questions on that? Goes around the waist. Here. Grab that wrist. keep the leg and go for a spin. Generally, they don't give you a takedown now. I always go to the legs. Any questions on that? I think I got one last one down here. And Bill and I have to go do math. Oh, we got plenty of time. Any questions on that, fellas? I mean, sorry about the rules interpretation, but I mean, we had our rules interpretation. The guy from the NCAA rules interpretation said this is the high school federation interpretation also. I just assumed. You don't have to assume. Happens again. Make an ass of you and me. Guess the ass is on me, huh? All right. Next one. You're in here. He's blocking you off. Your head's down. You can't drive up. He's pushing. A lot of times, Bill just took himself out of the setup for this. A lot of times, if he's driving, it's come across to the ankle. Pick the far ankle and drive. Guys with real long arms, man, they kill people with this. You're in here. You're in a bad position. We'll drive. Just drive across to the ankle. Another thing you can do, if you're in here, you're a little bit higher, the guy sprawls. Here, drop your head over onto his hip. Here, step out front, slide across. One more time for you, please. Okay, we're here. I'm not in bad position, I'm not in good. I get my head over to his other side. You see I'm inching it over there? Step up, and I rotate. My head's coming over to this side like a double. Keep my hands locked, spin, rotate. Slide across, double. I didn't double that time. You can keep your hands locked, or you can actually double. From here, same thing. Boom. Slide across, double. Very effective. The guy sprawls that way. You notice I tried to show you a finish from basically each way the guy sprawls. The guy sprawls that knee down all the way to the mat, T-spin. If the guy's buried, trying to get his hip on your head and bury your head down, post and lift. The guy's up high, slide across. The guy keeps his legs too close together, drive. The guy lets you drive your feet, that's my first option. Couple of notes, I have one more I'll show you, but a couple of things just that might help you guys out, depending on how often you shoot for legs. Whenever I'm just below the knee or up, I'm going to lock my hands. Whenever I go below the knee, I want to wrap my hands. So, if we do a takedown here, we're in this position, and we're going to drop. One of the ones we do, here, one of the ones we do is drop behind the knee. If I'm dropping, grabbing the leg here, I want to wrap. If I'm near above, on a lock. If you've got a guy that likes to do this, if he locks, he can't get hardly any pressure. So step right out of this grip. Step. Okay? If I'm in here, it's going to be real hard for him to step out of this. If your guy attacks from about the bottom of the knee down to the foot, wrap. Above, right here, up, lock. Any questions on the single leg and finishes? I know I had to go a little quick here during the game, but
In that position, down on the mat, you're driving your shoulders and your knee.
behind.
Yeah, how are you going to finish that? If you can't reach the far leg.
It's kind of a dogfight, actually. I'll show you what I'm going to do when Bill gets head inside or outside, it really doesn't matter. Bill gets in here, I'm going to hold on for stalemate. And then I'm going to do, and I'm not sure if it's legal, maybe somebody can tell me. When he loosens up enough, I'm going to come here. Okay? And just press off. Not kicking the guy. I think it's perfectly legal. You're just pressing and pull it. Works 99 times out of 100. Or is it 100 out of 100 this year? Bill gets a good low-level single, but that's what I do. So what's the guy going to do to you? He's going to try to get you down. I'm going to try to get Bill's improving his position. I'm going to try to get my butt on top of him, and I want my leg at an angle over top of him. So, what do we need to do to stop that? If I'm in here, single leg, I drop down, boom. He's posted on my head. In here, he's trying to get his butt back over. So what I want to do is I want to drive my shoulder into his knee and lift his leg up. Okay, it's one of those things. Looks great. Should work every time. It's a dog fight. It's not an easy position. Here. Another thing I do. Fight. Keep grabbing that other leg. That's actually, if you're in there, you should probably try to sweep it right up and out as soon as you get there. If you're in that dog fight position, you know, tell your guy to hold on to that leg for dear life. Don't make too many risks. I like being in that position. I mean, that doesn't bother me a lot. You know, here, it's a good stalemate. The head's inside, it's even easier. The head's inside. Now I can really get that far back. Try to pull this left knee up, drive into the back. One thing works sometimes, either position. Here, you up here, push, pop your head up. You gotta understand what that guy's trying to do to you. Here, with this leg back, you gotta try to push that up. If he has your shoulder down his knee, it's gonna be a stalemate, he's gonna get away. You know what I'm saying? His knee's here. If his shoulder's here, I'm gonna get a stalemate out of it, or I'm gonna get away. Any other questions?
You guys use any outside singles other than the straight high crotch? You shoot a straight in on the outside?
We do some of this right here. Coming in. Back position near arm, far leg.
Do you do anything with your head on attacking this, keeping your head to the outside?
Not in the single with the leg to the outside. You know, not a low level dive single with the head to the outside. Jason O'Keefe and some of the guys do a little bit of the John Smith. They'll come down, fake like they're going here. The guy will move his leg back, come to here. You know, we teach a little bit of that, but that's not really what I would say our main emphasis in bread and butter would be. We also teach some of this here where we get the guy moving. Tap, he moves that leg back. Either barrel roll, or what do you want to call it, or near arm far leg, depending on if you grab the arm. You know, sweep single to this side. Generally, there are some other guys who do a few different variations, but you know, we emphasize pretty much the basic single leg, and then add on to the year some of the other options. Anybody else? Questions?
Yes. How would you coach that from a coaching point of view for high school wrestlers? You know, just sitting there watching it, I understand the move. What you would just put them in that position? Just
Okay, the way I would suggest is, I do a lot of summer camps, but I really don't have the day in and day out experience at the high school level that say you do, or the junior high level that some of you guys have. So you would need to adapt it into your teaching method. My method of learning has always been repetition, drilling to move over and over. If that means getting a guy in here, say, and we actually do situations in here, we'll say, okay, single leg, Guy sprawls his leg all the way down the mat. And then we'll start wrestling right in here. Well, the first couple times we do that, the guy in on his leg gets beat to death. And eventually, it gets to be maybe an even situation. Just the repetition of drilling. We put, what one of our team members said, practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. If a guy does it 1,000 times wrong, he's going to do it wrong on Saturday night. If a guy does it 1,000 times correctly, he's probably going to do it correctly on Saturday night. That's the only thing I can say. It's just a repetition of drilling and so forth. Anything else? Gentlemen, it's a pleasure. After my mat movie chores, I'll be back at hopefully by about 9:30. Coach Astorino, assistant coach, coordinator of our recruiting, also works as personnel manager, I would say vice president, but he's up there in the Dan Potato Chip Corporation for those guys in Cleveland, OK Potato Chip Corporation for those guys in Akron and Youngstown, and Troyer Potato Chips for those guys in New York and Pennsylvania. It's a pretty big company. He's going to give us some insight on promotion, possibly dealing with soliciting money from corporate people, being a successful wrestling coach at Phil the Groundhog School, at McDowell High School, graduate assistant for us back when Mikey and I first got here at Edinboro. Extensive wrestling background, an extensive corporate background. I think it'd be a real good insight to maybe see a little bit of promotion from the, quote, businessman's point of view. Mr. Terry Astorino.
That introduction, I deserve a raise.
Yes. When I get my raise, yeah.
I'd like to welcome everybody to the clinic. I apologize, you don't have in your folder my notes, but I just passed them around. So you can put those in your folder. I'm kind of excited to come in and talk a little bit about public relations and fundraising. First of all, I'd like to tell you that I know there are some coaches in here that have been at the high school level, junior high level for 30 years. I'm not here to insult you and tell you how to do it. I'm just trying to give you my ideas and my philosophies on fundraising and promotions. The one thing I think I can offer you is this. I think I've had a good cross-section. I'm sure if I look at each one of your experiences, I probably don't have as much experience in what you're doing. You might have all those years in the high school level, but I did coach at 2 AAA high schools in Pennsylvania. I also assisted. I was a head coach at 2 high schools. As Bruce said, I was a graduate assistant here. But mainly where I think I can give you a good cross-section of what's going on is my job where I get paid my real money, and that is at Troyer Snack Foods. And being
Troyer Farm Snack
Troyer
Foods,
Farm
thank you.
Snack
Don't insult my buddy.
I'll give you a little bit of insight. As Bruce said, his buddy, I'll just give you a little clarification. Cliff Troyer is one of our major boosters here.
Good personal friend of mine.
That's probably how I got my job, too. I used to think I got it on experience and good looks, but I don't know now. But at any rate, I think what I've learned is I've seen people soliciting monies from him. I got to know him through our wrestling club, and I've got a fresh insight on what goes on as far as getting some funds for your teams and how to use those funds, how to follow up so you can continue to get the funds. As I look around, I know some people that, I see a Ridgeway coach, I see some other coaches that, hey, maybe don't need that many funds. I know your programs are sky high right now, and I know you always need funds, let me say that. But at times you think, you almost get that feeling of invincibility. But with the economic times that are coming around now, and it's tough out there, things may get a little bit different. If you look at I'm just going to go by my note sheet here. First of all, I'm going to talk a little bit about public relations, and I want to go into a little bit about the first major thing that we have to look at is overcoming the major obstacle, and that is, and again, I'm going to give you my viewpoints. I think in wrestling, what we're always doing is we're overcoming not being a high-profile sport. That's my next question. Are we a high-profile sport? Absolutely not. We just may admit it that we're not a high-profile sport. Now, unfortunately, we're sitting here in Edinboro, Pennsylvania. Some of you are from New York, some of you are from Ohio, a lot of you are from Pennsylvania, some other states in the east here. We're in big wrestling country. I don't think it gets any bigger than this. I have to go pick up Kenny Money at the airport. Oklahoma's a big wrestling state. But I don't think it gets any bigger than here. But we still have a problem. And how do we overcome that obstacle? First of all, I say, who's our competition? Basketball's probably our competition, maybe football. But then I say, what does it matter? It doesn't really matter. Why fight? I've heard it a million times. Wrestling coaches arguing about what basketball's. Hey, forget it. Let's go in, let's try to do what we can for wrestling. They're two different sports. One of the things I always thought was funny is, arguing with the basketball coach about some guy who went out for basketball, or the basketball coach mad that some guy went out for wrestling. Probably 9 times out of 10, you didn't want him anyway. If he ends up being a good basketball player, he probably wasn't going to be that great of a wrestler, and vice versa. Now, don't quote me on that. I'm sure there are exceptions, but basically that's what you're looking at. Number 3, earning respect outside the wrestling circle. When we sit in here, we don't have a problem with respect. We know what our sport has done. We know, you can sit at your school, you may have a great football school. Check and see how many football players have gone Division I. Check and see how many football players have gone Division II. I'll bet a lot of you can look beside you or even into the mirror. You sent some kids to Division I wrestling or Division II wrestling. And I think that says it all. In here, we don't have a complex. We know what our sport does. But let's not sit here and talk about what our sport means and how good we're doing. We got to go out and promote it outside. And it's a different bear out there. It's totally different trying to talk to somebody outside. As you know, I don't want to say that we're unique, but in a sense we are. Wrestling's a much different sport. You really have to understand it. As you know, mothers are out there saying, hey, my kid's not coming out for wrestling. He's got to lose 20 pounds. He has to lose 10 pounds. And you can try and beat your head against the wall, but that's one example of people not understanding our sport. So what we have to do is say, okay, we are out there trying to promote wrestling and get our public relations going with people who don't really know it. What's significant about that? The media. I'm going to talk a little bit about utilizing the media. The media, check and see how many wrestlers are here in Erie, for those of you in Erie, how many guys are the sportscasters that are wrestling. Fortunately, Tony, that Bob McRae, he's really made a real bid to know wrestling. And some people in the Erie area really made a real bid, but there aren't too many people that are wrestlers. So when you try to foster a good relationship with them, just remember that they haven't been in your sport. If they have, that's great. You have a real gem. If they haven't, you better beware and you better try to remember that when you're dealing with them. In public relations, I think you have to utilize the media. Local newspapers, obviously, if you're from a small town, that's your big forte, the local newspaper. And I think what you have to do is you have to work with the local newspaper. I coached in a small town, and the newspaper was everything. I try to have a good rapport with the editor. I try to let him know wrestling. I try to call him and say, we have a meet, until everything starts to become natural. And that may be natural with you in this small town. In a town the size of Erie, or you get into some other towns, maybe Rochester, etc., we're fortunate that we have a media base here that we're not large enough to have pro sports. I shouldn't say that. We have semi-pro hockey, if you want to call it that, and semi-pro baseball. But we don't have any pro sports. We don't have to fight with the Browns, the Steelers for press time. And fortunately, Edinboro's a Division I sport, so we get a lot of press time. That's with the TV. We're large enough to have the major TV affiliates, but not large enough to have pro sports. What do you do with these people, okay? Radio and television are a big thing. You have to stroke these people. That's what it comes down to. When I coached at McDowell High School, and some people from Erie, Tony knows that he coached some of these kids when they were young. Rick, I think you had them in the junior programs. I think that they were Lenny LaCastro and Robbie Weiss, two very good wrestlers from McDowell. These kids, I utilize them to get press for them, but I also utilize them to get press for our team. And for me, too, that was the little offshoot. But I'm calling the TV stations. I'm writing a letter. I'm writing letters saying, Lenny LaCastro is going to come into his 100th win sometime about this time. Could you please give us some press time? And you know what? They're not going to shun you. They came out there. we got TV time. It also helps, obviously, the selfish part is I want these kids to get recruited. I don't know how selfish that is. I'm looking out for the kids. But at any rate, if I don't call them, maybe they'll come, maybe they won't. How much time does it take? It takes time. It takes a little bit of time. But I think in trying to promote your program, now look at it this selfish way, you want to have a good team. To have a good team, you got to have a good turnout. How do you get those good turnouts? Nothing sells better to a 5th grader and a 6th grader than opening up the paper, watching TV, seeing somebody that he knows on TV. That clicks. That's where we lose to our competitors of basketball and football. They're a little bit higher profile. It's natural for the people to cover, the media people to cover the Friday night football game. So, stroke those people. You talk to them. Write them letters. I wrote them all letters. Everybody, every name I could find, wrote them a letter, put it on the PC, wrote it to them, sent them a schedule, said any press time we can get, we would really appreciate it. Talked a little bit about our highlights. Again, I realize in all your different towns, it's just a little bit different, but the bottom line is this. Talk to those people. Talk to them. Wrestling periodicals. Use wrestling periodicals. Send the information into the wrestling periodicals, whether it's USA Wrestling, Pennsylvania Wrestling News, Amateur Wrestling News, any of those. Use that information to get your kids in the limelight. I say swing for the home run. Hey, try to get, just because you call the guy from the media and he doesn't, if you're 20 miles out of Johnstown and Johnstown never covered a wrestler at your school, hey, go for it. What's he going to do? He's not going to get on the news and say, some idiot from so-and-so, Westmont Hilltop tried to get us over there and we're not coming over there. I think if you really try that, I think you'll get some publicity for your sport. The ultimate communicator. One thing that I found out as I came up through, unfortunately, I learned a lot of this after I was out of the high school scene, and I wish I could go back. Maybe someday I will, and I think that I'll be better for it, having made the mistakes. But I think that we're the ultimate communicators with our athletes. As you know, as a wrestling coach, you really get to know your wrestlers on a personal basis. You're there with them at a tournament all day. I played football, I played baseball in high school, and there was nothing like the personal feeling you had with your teammates and coaches as you did in wrestling. And we do a really good job on the whole as communicators with our kids. The only thing is, we also have to do that with the community. If you did what you do with your kids, as far as communication-wise, we'd be a lot better off. You'd be a lot better off in your sport. Number one, letter writing. I think letter writing is a lost art. I think mainly what we try to do at Edinboro, whether it's Jim, Bruce, or myself, if you send us a letter, we try to send it back. Please, if you send me a letter and I didn't respond, wait to tell me out here in the restroom or something. But mainly, I do try to respond to you. I think that's very important. I think you have to do that too. But use letters with your athletes, with your parents. Send your parents a preseason letter. Send them a postseason letter. Thanking them. They're appreciative of that. Club members. How about administrators? You fight with your administrator and the principal and the superintendent the whole year. You think if you really tried to foster a better relationship with them, maybe it would work. You can talk behind his back, but send him a nice letter. And the media. Again, correspond with the media. Another thing that I think that you really have to beware of is, I say a true politician obtains results. True politician wins the election. And that is, the main thing I'm talking about here is, where do you see the most people at events? Accessibility at events. You have to make yourself accessible. Everybody wants to see the coach. The parent wants to see you. I know at times it's a tall task, I say. It's almost impossible. But you almost have to set aside a little bit of time. Say a few words to everybody. And that's tough. I realize it's tough. But that's your way of good public relations with the parents and with some fans out there. Who knows? Maybe there's a little brother out there that wants to wrestle, but he's on the borderline between basketball and wrestling. You're talking to the parents, you pat the kid on the back, you don't even have to say a word to him. That's good. That means something. Obtaining a direct involvement. These are just some ideas. I'm not going to get into these because I know you guys are probably experts in this, but these are just some of my ideas. Post-meet parties. A post-meet party is a lot of hassle because you have so much to go through preparing for the meet. But I think if you have a post-meet party, you get everybody together, you get people talking, they associate the meet with the pretty good time, and I think that fosters good relationships. A wrestling club, I don't know how many of you are involved in wrestling clubs. I would say that most of you are. Our wrestling club here, actually, this is what's putting on our clinic. I know college is a different scene, but wrestling clubs in high school, a lot of people are always think that the wrestling club is nothing but a coach lynching mob. I think it's only that if you make it that. To me, they're a fundraiser. So I would try to get a wrestling club going if you don't have one, because I think it can do you a lot of good. Student support groups, matinees, they can do a lot of that work for you that you don't have to do, and I think, again, there are more people at the meeting. Current programs. I know this is a little detail, but I had to get this in. When I was a high school coach, I spent the time to make a program, which I'm sure most of you do. What I think that we lack in is, you have this current program that's for the entire year. They open it up, they see the lineup, the lineups change drastically. What I did was, and I think I was a little bit crazy, but what I did was, on the computer that night when the coach came in there, I had pretty much of a form letter written, and what I would do is get some information on the big matchup of the night. I'd write a little bit about that matchup. Then what I do is fill in the lineup, type it on the computer when he came in, when they weighed in, and so you had a current assessment of who was wrestling. And that was important. People then bought the program, because you know what happens? People come to buy the program, I bought one last week. Same thing. If there's some new information in it, they'll buy it. And I'm not talking about money here. We'll get into money in a little bit, but I think that it's really just getting some more support and some people interested in your program. Banquets and reunions, I think it's good to get alumni back involved, not only to maybe teach the kids programs, but I think it's good to have them come to the events. How do you do that? You recognize them. They were the builders of your program. And I said a poster program. We have a poster program here. We spotlight a feature match to people to just get some interest aroused. I think in high school it's even more important, because you're wrestling rivalry, and if you can create a rivalry, I think you get a little more fans in that. Wrestlers, I think your wrestlers are your primary marketing tool. They'll go and sell your program for you. One of the things I think you have to use, again, is a bulletin board. People throw a bulletin board up there. Get a huge bulletin board and put every piece of information you can and change it. Do you have time to do it? No. Get a matinee or somebody to do that. Daily announcements, school periodicals, those are all boosts for your kids. And the best way to promote your program is to be successful. There's a story to be told about that. If you have a team success, maybe nobody knows. Go out there and get the radio to announce some of your team accomplishments, some of the individual accomplishments. And the biggest thing is placing one of your wrestlers into a college program. I think that's the biggest thing. And if you can do that, that's a very high honor and a high achievement, and then that sells the wrestling program at the younger levels. But you have to do it. You have to bring them back in the room. You have to call the newspaper. You have to tell people that it happened. And believe me, that's the biggest seller. Fundraising. Let me get into just a little bit of fundraising and tell you, I want to talk a little bit about what I do. Mainly, I don't know if some of you read in USA Wrestling, it was also in Sports Illustrated. Appleton, Wisconsin, a few years ago was in Sports Illustrated. They were one of the most successful, highly touted high school programs, not wrestling, any sports programs in the nation. All of a sudden they come out with some statistics, they're cutting them. I don't know how many sports, but they're in the red for thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars. How can it happen? It's because of the economy. And I think what's happening here is that's a lesson for us. Don't neglect the obvious, okay? I ask, is our sport really affected by the economy? I don't know. It depends on what you say is affected. But don't let it happen. In other words, first of all, your wrestling program isn't in jeopardy. You have to assess that. If you say yes, then what you have to do is assemble a backing and go fight for it. If you say no, then let me say this. Don't let it regress to that point, because when you do, and some of you maybe have been familiar with those types of programs, you're out of luck. It is tough to get the backing. When the superintendent decides it's just about time to cut, there's not a whole lot you can do. You just have to fight. It's a lot easier to sustain what you have. There's an elimination of programs at all levels. for victims of a lack of support. If you have people supporting you, and especially in smaller communities, the superintendent, the school board, they won't cut it. So that's what you have to do. Hit this wide array of people, not only with your public relations, but also with your fundraising. One other factor too, if you win, they probably won't cut. That's one little sideline. And then you have improvising versus acceptance. In other words, somebody starts cutting your program, what do? You just say, you go into the superintendent's office, you lay down and say, yes, I understand. You know what he's going to do? He's going to keep cutting. Now, notice I didn't put fight versus lay down. I don't think he can fight. As you know, he's holding all the cards, the superintendent and the school board. But what I think you have to do is, instead of accept it, you have to start improvising. And keep fighting for your, I don't even want to use the word fight. Keep on going back and trying to get back what you earned before. Sponsorship and support. When I'm talking about sponsorship, I'm going to be talking about dollars. When I'm talking about support, I'm talking about moral support and people supporting you by coming to the meet, attending the meets, etc. Both very important, very important. First of all, you can get individual support. You can go to people, get both their individual moral support, a little bit of sponsorship. Club, you can get both of them. And then I want to talk a little bit about corporate. As Bruce told you, the gentleman I worked for, great wrestling supporter. So, and I work with him, he's my boss. And the big thing is, I've got a chance to know what makes him tick and why is he a wrestling supporter. And he doesn't just support Edinboro wrestling. I mean, Jim, our other assistant coach, Jim Akerley, he supported Jim a little bit when Jim went overseas. He supported Bruce individually, and he supports us as a program. He also supports some other sports programs. First of all, I think corporations, as far as money goes, and let's face it, money can help your program. If you can send your kids to camps and pay for their all expenses, they're going to go. They're going to go. So where do you get this money? Corporations, I think, are an untapped potential. They have some money, but are they going to give it up? There's a little bit of an error there under B on the second page, 3A. I meant to say it's not 10 there, it's 1 with the parentheses. The personal touch is the only avenue. Don't try a letter writing campaign with the corporations. They'll just throw it in the trash. I know, I've been in on his desk. He gets like maybe, we're not a huge corporation. We have about 450 employees. He probably gets, I'd say maybe in the average of 5 solicitations a day. That we're not a huge corporation for all types of donations. So he can't do it all. So you have to go and you have to give the personal touch. Bruce gave the personal touch. Put him in a headlock one day, choked him out. No, but at any rate, Bruce did. Bruce talked to him for a little bit.
All right, so you want
You're not going to get any money off of him, okay?
No. But how do you get into, you don't know the person, you know if you're writing a letter, it's going in the basket, how do you get through?
I think, number one is you have to see if you have some other end. Do you know a worker there? Do you know a close friend of his? If not, you have to try to get in to see him. You can go a couple times. You might have to go 3 or 4 times. First of all, if you go 3 or 4 times and he doesn't see you, I can tell you right now, he's not the kind of guy that's going to give anyway. So you have your answer. But if you can get in there, then I think you have your foot in the door, and now what do you do? So I don't know if I don't have a hard, fast answer to that, but I think what you have to do is you have to go there personally. First, try to find some liaison, whether it's a worker in that corporation, etc.
Even if you got in the door, what's your justification for not giving you money, though, or your money? What?
I think here's what you have to do. You led right into it. I think what you have to do is this. First of all, you have to assess, while you're talking to him, his commitment. What kind of money can you get? You can't have somebody for $1,000. Somebody from Edinboro called me. I'm an Edinboro grad. They said, would you like to, you donated to the alumni fund, and all of a sudden my defenses are up. They want $100. Can I turn them down for $100? Sure can. But the lady said, could you give $5? I felt like, yeah, I can give $5. She needed 20 people to get up to the $100 mark, but
Probably a 2-time national champ, that's what I've looked at right now. If you look down the schedule, I'm not Kenny Monday. Kenny's going to be here tomorrow morning. He's going to take my time. I'm supposed to be tomorrow afternoon. To practice flight I canceled this morning in Tulsa. But Kenny will be here at the coach's social at 9:30. Gary just went to go pick him up at the airport, assuming he didn't have any more problems with his flight. He will be here. What we're gonna work on tonight is, countering leg attacks. Leg shots, guys taking shots on me. First time today, I get to talk about something other than leg rides. Probably should have worn different colors, so you guys probably sick of seeing red and white, huh? Number one, the first thing I like to talk about, I think is probably, you know, when I was a young kid, I started wrestling, the first thing I remember being taught was going to a wrestling room was my stance. And, I thought I had a good stance all through high school, all through kids wrestling and stuff, and I was, pretty successful with it to a point, and, then I got to college, and I wrestled a whole year of college, and I didn't have a bad freshman season, but about the first week of, sophomore year, we got a new assistant coach, Nate Carnes. He says, oh, Jesus, I can understand why you're okay in your feet, but you could be a lot better. Basically your stance sucks, I says, all right, blew me in here, what are you talking about? I used to have the old, back straight, head up, this stuff here, right in front of the guy. And what he was telling me was, I have an attack zone, there's so much area the guy can attack me in. And the more I stand up, the more I'm upright, the greater my attack zone is. So basically, he says here, and this is basically the stance I've adopted. Okay, I kind of feel real comfortable in it now. At first, your kids are going to feel a little awkward. First day, your back's going to complain about being sore and stuff like that. But after a while, you get used to it. Your back might be a little sore because you're not used to working the same muscle groups. And what I do is, basically, I kind of get on the line, and right where my heel is, I just kind of go right across my toe. That's about it as far as stagger. I like to stagger one leg, keep one a little bit back, and therefore, I'm one leg's primarily what I'm kind of almost giving. The other one's going to be, if he's under my stance and I'm back here and he can get to this leg, he's pretty darn quick. Okay, he's going to have to have a nice setup. He's going to have to be pretty darn quick. So I'm going to have to mainly concentrate about defending this front leg. So to do that, here's what I do. Keep my elbows in. Always keep my elbows in. Always want to keep my elbows in. And you say that to kids, and you say that to kids, and you say to kids in college at any level, come on guys, keep your elbows in. And they get right out there, and all of a sudden, this stuff here, and they're getting dark and high crotched and stuff like that, and they can't understand it. That's because their elbows are up. Elbows in, I just bend my knees a little bit, and I'm just going to drop right from a bend at the waist until my elbows hit my knees. Now I keep them up, I just pick them up off my knees. This is about it. See, I've greatly reduced my attack zone. I'm right over it. It's a lot smaller attack zone from here to here. And then another thing that enables me to do it brings my head down. Okay, not down to where I'm in bad position, but it brings it down so that it brings my head in as a line of defense. Now, if we were tied up, Tom would have to get by my head even if I was standing up. If I was up in here and we were tied up, Tom would have to get by my head to be able to attack me. And the only time I think a lot of, especially younger kids, use their head to defend is in a tight situation, and a lot of kids really don't even do it then. It's not a real coach thing. Head position, to me, is one of the most important things there is. This is my number one line of defense. As you can tell, a lot of people taking a lot of shots here, and stuff tends to wear off. So no matter what happens, the guy takes a shot on me, I want to have my face right there. I kind of always felt that if I wrestle a real good tournament, wrestle 4 or 5 matches or whatever, and I can always tell by going up at the end of the tournament, looking in the mirror, and, if I had some good big knots on my forehead and black eyes, and I was right in them matches, I really wrestled well. But if I came out looking pretty, and either one of the two things, competition stunk or I stunk. So, I want to lower my level. Anytime a guy shoots, I got my hands in front of me, but I want him to have to worry about getting by my head first. Anytime he shoots, I want to be meeting with my head, my hands in front of him, not up, so he has to get by both my head and hands. So if Tom takes a shot, I want to lower my head first. Okay, I don't care if we smack heads. Okay, but I want him to have to worry about getting by my head. That's a whole other thing he has to worry about. Okay, so there's lines of defense. Number 1 is my head, number 2 is my hands. If he can get by my head and my hands, You know, he has to really have a nice setup. You can't just give me the old, you know, shake hands and tweet, you know, shoot in. He's gonna have to set me up. He's gonna have to really work to get me out of position, take my head and hands and push him by, you know, snap me down, get my head to come up, something like that. Okay, so that creates a whole other problem for him. Number 1, 2, head and hands. Number 3 is basically he's gonna have to be my hips. Once he gets in there, I wanna pound him, punch him in the face with my hips. You know, either dropping him down on his head and shoulders, or just meeting him straight on. Okay, this is a really powerful weapon right here. I said earlier, this is the strongest part of your body. You know, you can really throw a shot on somebody with some hips, meeting him as he comes, poof. Okay, and then and that's really what's going to create some space and allow us to extend the opponent and be able to score from there. Number 3 would basically have to be, you know, using my legs, you know, countering, sitting on my hip and what have you, but that's the last thing we would like to avoid getting to there if at all possible. So, real important thing to do is make sure your kids have a good stance. You know, we're at college level now, and, you know, a couple times, maybe once every 2 weeks, maybe depending on how bad we are, get your little stand there. We do this here. I just stand up in front and make the guys move just like it's here. Now Tom's coming up, so I'll have to start bitching, you know. So, okay, Tom, you're coming up. And I'll give him one of these. And there he goes. He's sprawling, comes back up. Now we add in some things, okay? We want to be able to read and see what other people are giving us. Now, if my guy's reaching for me, I raise his hand, Tom takes a shot to this side. And he stays in a stance. He gets, as soon as he takes his shot, he's back into a good stance. I give him sprawl again, he comes right up into a good stance. Okay, that creates good habits. Rather, the guy, you know, guy takes a shot on us, we sprawl, got out of that. You know, there he is in bad position, kid. Boom, comes up, you get redoubled. You know, the better competition comes, the better kids you wrestle, they're going to be looking for that second shot, looking for a shot off your bad shot, and stuff like that. Eliminations last week, that's how Tom took this guy down. What do you want, 4-zip? Something like that? Elimination match? 3-1 against a good kid from Pennsylvania, a two-time runner-up from Pennsylvania, Barry Anderson. They wrestled off, and Barry took a shot, came up like, you know, he didn't get it. Tom double-legged him with the ankles, took him down. He was reshooting. So that's just a good habit we want to get into. You know, the guy shoots, boom, right back into a good stance. Not standing up and relaxing. You're still under fire there. Now, let's get into guys. We're going to he's got minor head and hands. We're going to start to assume that he's in on a leg now. Just like anything else, you know, like I said before, my idea of wrestling, especially on no powerhouse or anything like that. So I have to, you know, make wrestling fit my body style. And since I'm not real powerful, I want to try to use what I have to make him as weak as possible. And to be weak, I want to have him extended. So I want to stretch him out. So Tom shoots, and I know that for him to be able to lift, you know, in a staying good position, he wants to once again slide his hips under. Now, Tom's right here. He's having a hard time lifting me. Okay, I don't think he could pick. You know, he might not. Let's see this here. He'd have a hard time just picking my foot up if I put my weight on from that situation. You know, being extended like that. He's gonna have a hard time picking me up. Now Tom has his hips under him. He's in good position here. He's in real good position. He can pick up my leg with no sweat. Okay, it's just basics. It's just like the Olympic powerlifters. You see them. You know, they don't get down there and pick the stuff up like this here. They got their hips down. They're doing this stuff. Their hips are underneath them so they can lift. So what I want to do is I don't want to allow him to get in a good position. I want to take him out of good position. I want to extend him. So when Tom shoots, I want to take his head and I want to take it as far away from his hips, keep his hips back as far as possible. Now, number 1, I want to get his head down. Okay? Guy told me one time, he said, wherever the head goes, the body follows. So if a guy, you know, and you tell your kids when you shoot with your head up, watch where you're going. You know, keep your head up, don't look down. And, you know, you see kids take these shots in high school or anywhere in college, and they're shooting from here, and they're coming down here like this here. Well, that's when they get stuck. Their head, you know, where their head went, the body falls. He can't go anywhere. You know, if I could control his head, like it's here, I could take him down all day. If I could control his head that simple, I'd be able to dominate him. You know, as far as on his feet. So, he has to shoot with his head up, my job is to get his head down, stuck in the mat, and extend him so he can't get back in a good position. So Tom takes a shot. Hit number one, he got by my head and hands. I got to extend him. He's in good position now, and I'm not in good position. I want to take him out of good position. So my number one job for me is, first of all, I meet him with my hips, put my hand right on his head, and just cram his head down, and start squaring my hips to him. When I'm saying square, I'm talking both of my hips are square to him. Okay, this isn't really squared. You see a lot of kids do this. You know, and from this situation, a guy can slide across on me. Right here, get this stuff happening to me. And he just work his angle a little bit to the inside, work his head up me. I want to square his head. I want to trap his head right underneath my hips. Right here, square. Now, simple thing. Right where Tom's at, he's not in good position. He's extended, his head's down, his head's below his hips. He's never going to be able to lift from here. He's not going to be able to work, he's not going to be able to work back in a good position as long as I keep those hips where they are. And here's all I have to do. Simple. I got my hips square, take two little V's just like it's here, boom, right on the hips. And I keep squaring. And I just work my hips right down on the mat. Not one side, but both of them right down. Now, here's a thing. It seems wrong, but it's right. Kids are attacking. If Tom's attacking this leg right here, I want to circle away from it. Okay? We're here. Square up to him. Square up, jam him. I get my hips down, square to the mat. Now, as I circle, I want to take real small steps. I don't want to try to bite off a big chunk. I'll be real patient. Just take my time and extend him. Now, the tighter he hangs on, fine. I don't really care. Okay, I just take little steps, keep the hips blocked, and I might even drop back here to the back ankle and stuff. That'll help keep him from squaring up and facing with me. This keeps him right here. Hang on. Okay, we're here. I'm just taking little steps. And if you can see, if he hangs on, if he can, his whole upper body will turn. And if it does, if he can hang on right here, I'm just going to pick that ankle, I'm going to pick the elbow up, pick it up just like that. Now I come right into a butt drag. Come on, right in the armpit. His hand comes right up the butt, check his oil, what have you, whatever you're feeling. Okay, just give him a little tugs, take him forward. But the idea is to take him from a position like this to like this. And, I'm not allowing him to walk his hips back up and slide underneath to get in good position. I have to keep him extended. A lot of people will get here and, they go, look at here, square, look at there, and square, and then all of a sudden they relax. Okay, now, and what they're thinking now, the guys should slide back in a good position. You want to keep them extended. When you have them down there, you want to punish them, make them take, punish them for taking that bad shot. Key thing is I got to keep his head trapped underneath my hips. If I say I get down here and I let him pop his head to the side, I'm not in good position again. So he's going to be able to switch to a double, what have you. Slide his hips back because he can get his head up. I want to keep his head buried down in the ground. That's real important. Right here. Jammed right here. Square up. Now, you say sometimes you get a guy who's got your legs sucked in pretty tight. You're having a hard time getting your hips back, or he's got it sucked underneath pretty good. You say you got his head pinched, but you just can't get this leg back. It's pretty simple, and it works quite a bit. It works almost every time, I think. Let's lock your hands right around his stomach, right around it. Actually, I want to put it right here in the sternum. Sternum, right here. Put my knuckles up, just like this here. Basically, I'm just going to punch him in the ribs. Just like that there. And at the same time, I'm going to jam my hips in and kick my leg back. And momentarily, it's kind of going to knock the wind down a little bit, hopefully. Right here, I'm just going to take it, punch this right here, like this here. Kick my hips in, my legs back, just right here. Right there. Now, sometimes it might take a couple. If he hangs on real tight, right here, right there. But I'll get it back. Kind of knocks the wind down a little bit, hopefully. Just simply.
What's your lock? What's your lock?
Just right here, whatever. It's not real important as long as I'm trying to break his ribs here. You get that feeling like that there. Even if you can hit him in the stomach, you hit the diaphragm and stuff like that, you just want to make him forget about hanging on your leg for a second. We're here, my hips are down. Okay, I'm squaring up. I'm just going to punch right here. right there. Gotta keep my hips down. I don't want it after I get here, to go, okay, now I'm in trouble again. And once I get them out, then I keep them there, go for my easy butt drag and stuff. It's a lot more effective than it looks. You know, maybe, you know, when you go back to school or whatever, you know, do it to one of your 98 mothers or something, see how they like it. It's pretty effective. Another thing I like to do when I'm wrestling, I like to try to keep myself from reaching for a guy. That's common sense, I guess. The way I try to avoid that, as we're trying to tell our guys now, is you stay in your stance and you lead with your head. Okay, I want to lead with my head, and I don't want to touch him until I make contact with my head to him. It can even frustrate kids a little bit sometimes if you're in a stance and you get your head in there and they tie up, you don't tie up with them. They're kind of like, you know, what's up? Okay? I just want to come right here, and I don't want to touch him until I get to right here. Now, when I get there, you know, my hands are still down and good, you know, in case he wants to take a quick shot or whatever, my hands are down in front of him. Still in good position right here. Now, if I do elect to come up and touch him, you know, when I'm going to beat his head down, start to tug and pull and move him, when I do come to make contact, I want to make sure I keep my elbow underneath my hand. What I'm saying is I don't want to be reaching up for him like this here. Because this just, you know, if you look at it, just open up a big door here. I'll keep it here. When I come up, I'm reaching this way. And I don't want to reach with both hands. I want to reach with one hand at a time. And it's usually this one here, because this is my back leg. I like to keep this hand down for defense. Okay, defend the shots. Now, another good reason, another nice thing about the stance, another drill we used to do all the time is stance, and we just basically like this here. Move like this here. You know, just pretend the guy was shooting on you, you know, just right there. He takes a shot this leg, just put my hand right where the shot was. Just like that there. Basically, my hand goes right where my foot was. If that guy was shooting for my leg, I moved my leg. Now my hand is right there. He's shooting actually a single arm, okay? Fine. If I'll take a shot with my single arm, boom, right here. See, my hand comes right in. Now, I'm working my front headlock. Because my hand, boom, hits him right here. Gives him a little shot. Now, front headlock is, you know, Bruce went over a little bit. Real effective. Couple things, now I know they're probably real touchy about it in high school as far as choking and stuff now, right? You look for it a lot. There's a lot of ways you can do it and still create a lot of pressure. There's a few things that are real key as far as I'm concerned, and I think I do mine a little different from other people. Number one, I want to get my shoulder, this shoulder right on top of this shoulder. This shoulder is opposite, you know, I want to be up here in his back, up on top of the shoulder blade, or over in here. I want to be right here. This shoulder's right here. And that's key. Number two, I think Bruce might have spoke about it earlier, is I don't want to reach in there deep. I want to have short hands, about this deep. If I get in here and I start bringing it in, I get to go. Guys suck your arm in, you know, trying to dump you and all that garbage. And even, you know, no matter what, it's still a dogfight. Just get your arm out of there, even if he isn't being offensive. This hand here, and it's important too. I want to take this back into this side of my arm, and I want to lay it right across the top, high in his armpit. Now, this is the way I do my front headlock. If you guys have, you know, you have your own, you like to show it, so I, you know, whatever. I think it's just a way, something you might want to look at. This hand comes in. This blade here comes right across here. Not across the throat, but across the side of the neck. Okay, there's a couple arteries or what have you there. Supply the brain. Little ones in his head. Right here, now my hand's going to lock just like this here. Just like this here underneath the head, right underneath his chin. Right here. Just like this. Now it's key that I have this up like this here. Now, once again, when I get my front headlock, I just don't want to stand there in front of him. Number one, I want to be off my knees and off my knees. I want to have him carry my weight. I want to make him feel as uncomfortable as possible. And once again, I don't want him to be back over his knees. I want to extend him. I want to pull him forward. Basically, when I get done, I want to have this shoulder here planted in the mat so that it can't move. My hands are locked like this here. and I wanna try to touch my elbows together. Okay, a lot of guys do a front headlock, and you see them, they lock in there and they go, start squeezing. Now if you look at it, that's a pretty big hole there. A head, a neck, and an arm have to fit in there, and they'll do a pretty good job of fitting in there. But if I make that hole a little bit smaller, it becomes a little more uncomfortable. So what I want to do is pinch my elbows together and pull it in. And there's a little hole. Okay, that's a little hole. I try to get this elbow and just drive it in. Reason I'm up here high in the arm is I'm going to lock in here. I'm going to pinch right here. I just pinch. Now if I can get this elbow here all the way on this elbow on the mat, okay, that's grand. And I'm trying to, once I get to here, I want to try to take this elbow and stick it over here. I want to take it like this here. This elbow and stick it right there. Okay, and that's another reason why I want to have my shoulders up too. Right here, and I pull them forward off the face, and now I get that elbow and stick it down. Tuck my head. No. Stay up a little bit. Right here, try to tuck that elbow. Tuck my head under, that stops him from being able to bring this arm up. Tuck his head, come right up the butt, or to here. Whatever you like. Start circling. Get my two. The tighter I pinch, the less air it gets. But the reason being I'm driving this elbow forward is this sticks him right here. Plus it makes it uncomfortable in the back of his arm. Kind of hurts. Okay? Right here. Locking underneath the chin. I'm driving, I'll pull him forward. Come on my toes. I pinch my hand. Tuck, pinch, right here. I just circle. Wasn't perfect, huh?
You got him like that, Jim, you could, just looks like you could, maybe you could grab his, like his left ankle there and put your half in all at the same time, just turn him over quickly, you can hold on.
Yeah, if you can keep that head, a lot of times, especially I think with younger guys, is you want to make sure they get their 2 points. A lot of people get greedy and try to, go for the big move and stuff and end up losing everything. I want to make sure I get my 2 points and then I go to work again. If I get my 2, pop my head and rip those 2, and then take whatever you got from there. But the main thing I think is to make sure I get my 2 points. Now another front headlock that's probably real good for high school because you're not going to have to worry about the refs with the throat and stuff too much. Is this one right here that kind of learn the stomach. Guys right here, it's kind of a good thing. I'm just going to pull the arm this way, and as I come through this way, I'll take my hand, catch his chin, turn his head sideways. Turn his head sideways. And here, turn his head sideways, pinch, pinch. Turn his head, push his chin, pinch, move. Alright? Yep. Over here, pinch, tight. Okay, where I can extend the elbow. Extend the elbow. Start circling back. But I want to turn the chin sideways when I'm up.
How you gonna finish that when you're extending the elbow?
Extend them. It'd be basically the same thing. I extend them, start tucking my head. Come back.
Then just go back.
I want to tuck the head to keep him from coming back and going and catching him. So it's the same thing either side. Just push his chin. Right here. Push his chin. Lock. It makes him pretty uncomfortable. Now, one thing we're trying to do a lot of is a lot of butt dragging. I think you can get a lot of kids, and I think it's a real good move for high school kids. And it's been real effective for us this year. Our 158-pounder used them last night to win. Guy shoots, guy shoots on me. I'm going to get my hips back. Now, what I want to do here, extend them forward. His hand, once again, comes right in the armpit. Right here. And I'm letting him carry my weight. I want to have my weight off my knees and stuff. I want to have him carry my weight, come right up the butt. Grab the cheek, and just keeping my weight down. I don't want my hips up. I want them down. I start tugging. Here, keep them on my weight. Start tugging them, driving into them, and just give there until I get my 2. Not one big thing. A lot of guys have a tendency to do this here. They get to here and they go. I get there, well, I take my hips up like that. I'll have them extended, it's still pretty good. And I go take my hips up like it's here, and he just falls right underneath me, turns with me. Bring my hips up, turn with me. You know, I took the pressure off. Gotta keep my hips low. Keep the pressure, have it like this. We're down. You should got a leg. Okay, I'm right here. Square, right here. Start circling, driving. Oh. Keep tugging. It's real effective. We're scoring a lot of points with that short off. Another one you might enjoy is right here. What I like to do is 118 pounder does it pretty good. He jams the guy, pulls him out this way here, and this hand comes right across the top. Jams in, and we got to push back, pulls the arm, right here, just chops, right there. Jams the guy, pulls him out, chops. Jam, pull it out, chop. Kind of a quick thing, but what you're really waiting for is him to really push back into you hard. You kind of jam him, he reacts back into you, and you're put it around. Okay, as far as short offense, like up there, we got a butt drag, front headlock, jam him, little chop by. Right now, we're going to assume that Tom's here in a high crotch outside, and this is kind of hard to teach kids. It's kind of hard to teach, period, really. Sometimes you're going to get beat here. He hit a high crotch. I blocked him off from switching to a double. So his next move was to sit me down on my butt. Okay, so I get stuck there. He sits me down. Boom. Now, a lot of kids panic here. I don't panic. I don't mind being here myself. Couple of things I like to do. I want to bring my hands right around inside here, keeping this hand right up in the top of the armpit here, as much as possible. And I'm going to lock right here. Now, I got to watch. You got to be aware the whole time the head's switching to a double. If he switches to a double, I'm in a lot of trouble here. His job right here is to keep my hip pinned, keep a lot of pressure on my hip, and he's going to try to work across to a double. And start elevating this leg up right here. So I got to be aware of that. Now I have a drive leg free over here. I like to tuck it just like this here. And, get a little high. I think it's pretty effective. We get some guys on our team that are doing it pretty good now. You're doing it pretty good now. And once they understand, it's a lot easier to understand. Understand it's a lot easier to do. Sitting on my butt. Now I want to keep this leg here up, right here, and this arm comes right inside and locks right here. Now I don't want to create a space in it, but this elbow goes right in my thigh. This hand goes right in the top of his armpit, and my hands are locked. Now I'm going to jam right here. Jam and lift. And it's kind of going to knock the wind out a little bit. But what I want to do is get his hips to come up. And drive right here, get his hips to come up. Now when they're up, it took a lot of pressure off my hips. Okay? So here I'm top behind the armpit, driving off this leg, driving into him, actually driving right over here, all this weight to this elbow. All the weight coming right to this elbow. Now I took all the weight off my hip, and I put it on his elbow over here. Now this leg's relatively light. See, we were over here, he had pressure on my hip, my hip. I want to take the pressure off my hip and drive it over here. Get this elbow down, right here. Now when I get to here, all I have to do is hit square my hips. Right here. And drive them, get the pressure on the elbow, drive, pop, square. And it's a lot easier than it looks. And it's real easy. Over here, this leg back, and I square him up. Now I come into my butt drag or what have you. But it's a good thing when you're stuck there, you know, not to panic. And it's a good last resort thing. It's real good. I school out of it a lot. I think it's going to happen here too. When I'm in here, this guy starts being, and you'll get a lot of high school kids that'll do it. I'm jamming, he starts bringing his hips up high, trying to cover it. Well, that's simple. And I just elevate him right here. Square my hips. And that'll happen a lot. It happens a lot with young kids in college too, where they get disciplined enough to get their hips down. You know, they're trying to go around, they're in a big hurry to go around, their hips are up right here. You know, anybody could just go, I square my hips. Right here, once again, get to here, make sure I'm blocking here, it's key. Make sure if I take this out, you know, stay locking here, whatever he is, there's nothing stopping him from cutting to a double here. There's nothing to stop now, he cuts to a double, I'm in trouble. I gotta stop him from cutting to a double. I keep this arm down. Lock my arms, hands in here, pull them up tight. You know, if I can pull them up real tight here, it's gonna make it harder for him to breathe. Keep my hips set. Same thing goes. Happened last night, as a matter of fact. Guy hits a shot, low single leg. Jam his head down. Jam his head down. Just turn on him. Keep his head down. Now I'm just going to turn all, step all the way back around, lock right to here. Now you have the drive leg. People sit there and they try to pull. Okay, they try to pull. I'm not pulling. I'm not pulling. I want to use my legs and hips to lift him. I sit, straighten this leg out, right over the top of the back of his head, drive him left. I get out of it. A lot of guys will panic in here. You know, you get in a situation a lot, you stand up, guy dives in the back of your leg. And here he shoots, just push his head down, step, sit on him, step all the way over. Now I look. Now it looks crazy when you're stepping all the way around, but it's really not too crazy at all. You're here, boom, sit on him, step all the way over, catch. It works pretty effectively. Let's assume for a while, just to change it up, this guy's got in our leg. He's got my leg up off the mat. Got my leg up off the mat. A couple things I want to make sure I do here. I want to control his head again. If I'm allowing him to keep his head up into me like he's here and keep me backwards, he's going to win this battle. So, first thing I want to do, push his head down and away. Okay, I'm try to work a whizzer in if I can. Just work this whizzer in right here. Now from here, I want to start going on offense. Once I start controlling his head, I want to go on offense. From here, this one here is pretty simple. This hand here, I'm going to grab his wrist. I'm going to grab his far wrist. Right here, and then I grab my own wrist. His wrist, my wrist. Now I'm just going to take one step here, take him right over there. Here, grab, step, kick him. Right to there. As long as you have the ability to hold on your own wrist, you're really no risk. Yeah, sure. Right here, push his head down the way. I get my hand in here. Get my hand in here. Grab with this hand, grab with his wrist. His wrist, I grab my other wrist. Keep my head this side of his head. Take a hop step in, drop, and kick him. Right to there. Now when I get to here, I gotta make sure I stir my head. Okay. One thing, you know, there's a lot of things you want to do here. When a guy picks your leg up, you know, the last thing we want to do is just stop here. Okay? Always want to be picking at these hands and trying to, you know, confuse them and move them around. You don't want to let him move you. You know, the more I stand here and just let him move me, you know, he's leading the dance again. If he's leading the dance, I'm going to lose. I want to control him. Just because he has my leg doesn't mean I can't control him. So, you know, there's a lot of things you can do to start reaching across, kick in, you know, create him, get him off balance and get him moving to where he's more worried about, you know, not looking stupid and falling down rather than finish. Let's see here. Guy, one way, good thing to do, you get my guy a single leg up, he's working pretty good. If I get my hands on both of his elbows, if I get both of my hands on his elbows, I just want to jam my knee into his ribs and pull these elbows up. It's right here, right there. It looks, it kind of works a lot. Right here.